Welcome everyone back to Mr. Weather Updates. In today's video, I'm going to look at the latest at the live radar. We'll also look at the UKV. We'll have a look at temperatures for the next 5 days and the temperatures as well. We'll look at the GFS, ECM, and the Melfi as well for the next couple of weeks. Have a look at the trends for the next for the end of July and the start of August. So let's get straight into it. If we do start on the live radar, you can see here we are fully dry. Other than we've got an approaching cold front, that's going to move into Scotland throughout the day. That's going to drift southwards, bringing patchy light rain as well for most of England, hopefully southern England as well, and that will bring us over to Sunday. So hopefully a little bit more rain before we get the next heat wave, which we'll have a look at in a minute. Looking at the short range, so looking at the UKV, looking at the temperatures for the next 5 days, and the station, you can see UKV is showing the cold front, which we saw the net weather radar there. It's going to push south eastwards, bringing patchy light rain first, then it's going to be replaced by some heavy showers most likely in Scotland, and that's going to fizzle out as we go further south, bringing more patchy light rain. So not much at all really. But as we go into Sunday, a little bit more rain around, a bit more showers, longer spells of rain as well in the north. Could be heavy at times, but unfortunately, that's not too much in the south. Could still be some heavier pulses as well. So we'll have to have a look at that. So yeah, quite unsettled really for Sunday. But we could also see a bit of a mixture of both really. Could even see some sunny intervals at times as well. As we get into Monday, it's not as unsettled really for the bulk of England, mostly clear skies, other than Scotland and Northern Ireland with some heavy rain, some heavy, perhaps even persistent rain, likely on the Scottish hills. But that's unfortunately, that's not going to come into the south of England. Staying unsettled for them. Otherwise, England is going to be staying largely dry with the odd shower possible and a bit variable cloud cover on Tuesday compared to Monday. So a little bit more clouds around on Tuesday compared to Monday. Still got to see some brighter interludes at possible with some weather fronts, which unfortunately you're not going to make too much progress over today for the rest of the week. Let's have a look at temperatures for Saturday. You can see here it's quite a bit of a contrast around, obviously before we get that cold front moving in. So you can see here for northwestern Scotland, where we have that cold front, we're in the mid-teens, and probably the highest we're going to get in Scotland is probably about 20 Celsius, so extraordinarily cool there really, especially compared to the rest of England, especially in particular actually. So quite disappointing temperatures for them. Same for northern England, northwestern areas especially around the teens. Other than that, eastern areas which are away from that cold front will be maybe about 21 degrees, so not too bad outside of that cold front. Other than that, the rest of areas, so that's central, southern, and eastern areas of England as well, we are going to be widely in the high 20s, and we could even see 30 Celsius again. So 29 to 30 Celsius is likely again tomorrow on Saturday before we get anything in the way of, let's say, cooler weather as we get into Sunday. So say Sunday is probably going to be the coolest day we've had for a while in the south at least, really. I mean, it really has. So I'll have to have a look at that. So yeah, a lot cooler really, more towards average, if not a little bit below actually in the northwest. Northwestern areas, like I said, mid-teens, and the highest we'll see would be more central in eastern areas of Scotland, which will be 20 degrees. And then we've got Northern England, once again we're in the mid-teens. We could scrape a 20 Celsius at times, but very disappointing at times. A bit below average at times as well. And then we've got south-eastern areas of England. We're back to around average really, a lot cooler. I wouldn't say too cool there, it's more around average really. So around 23, 24, maybe you still could see 25 Celsius, so still not particularly cool though. It's more around average for the time of year. And then very similar temperatures for Monday, if not a little bit more widespread really. Still in Scotland, we are lingering in the teens. I wouldn't take this too literally. Like I said, it could be higher or lower than that. But the highest we'll see in Scotland probably is going to be around 18 degrees. And then we've got Northern England. So Northern England. Again, a bit of a contrast going on. Eastern areas in the mid to high teens. Are more like low 20s in northeastern England in particular. So 22 to 23 Celsius in northeastern England as well. And then finally, southern and central England will be in the mid 20s widely, so 24 to 25 Celsius, around average for the time of year. After we get into Monday, though, we start to get some heat building. Just a little bit of heat, though. This is probably the first day of Heatwave 4, basically. I mean, it's not going to be much change for northwestern Scotland, though. We're still in the teens, if not a little bit warmer, though, in eastern Scotland, though. 22 Celsius is coming back. So feeling quite pleasant there. Northern England, still northwestern areas are struggling in the temperatures, really. High teens, low 20s, a touch warmer, though. Compared to recent days, really. So basically, so we could have a look at that. And otherwise, the highest we'll see outside of the northwest of England, so northeastern areas, we're at the 24, 25, 27 Celsius is likely in northeastern England. So feeling quite warm, if not hot, in that sunshine, really. And then finally, sorry about that. Finally, in southeastern areas of England, we are back into heatwave criteria. So that is high 20s, low 30s. So 31 degrees is likely actually on Tuesday. So getting back towards them heatwave thresholds once again. Like we've seen quite a lot this summer, really. If we have a look at the 0Z run from the GFS, you can see here the Zorsai weakens. Sorry, it retreats to the south. We get more of a northwesterly regime, bringing showers, perhaps some long spells of rain in Scotland. But after next week, that will build in, bringing a southeasterly direction with low pressure to the north. But that's just going to stay there. It's not going to make too much progress. If anything, it could actually spark a few thunderstorms at times as we go into August. And as we finally go into August, it looks a little bit more unsettled. Showers, long spells of rain in the northwest with high pressure again building to the west, stopping any Atlantic systems once again. Like we've once again, quite a bit of a trend that we've seen throughout summer so far. If we quickly have a look at temperatures on to what they are trying to predict, this is a 0Z one. This is probably the most extreme one on this heat wave, if I'm being completely honest. Let me just show you what that looks like. And you can see here, as we go into late July, we could at some point, if this had to verify, which is unlikely really, see widely high 30s and low 40s. 40 degrees is likely in the southern bulk of England. It's very unlikely, though, that this would happen, really, because it isn't really got too much oomph and time to build, even though it's quite an intense heat. It could happen, but I don't think it will, because sometimes GFS can be a bit bullish at times in heat waves, let's say, and it did that last time. It's still a possibility, but it's very unlikely we'll see 40 Celsius in this one, more like low to mid 30s at the very maximum, looking at the ECM ensembles, but we can't rule it out. It could still happen, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And you can see it does carry on that heat for quite a long time, actually. Still days getting up to the high 30s, quite a lot, actually. In fact, another day of 40 Celsius, which is, at the start of August. This would be probably a very long, hot, humid heat wave. And it's humid because we've got low pressures at the south, bringing more, the west, bringing more, let's say, uncomfortable conditions from the west. If we do have a look at the 6Z GFS run for midnight on the American model, once again, as Horseye will retreat southwards, we get more of an unsettled theme for the weekend. This is a northwesterly wind, excuse me. We've got high pressure building to the east, bringing a southeasterly direction, southwesterly at times. That breaks into early August, more of a changeable, unsettled theme. Probably a thundery low, actually. There's a thundery trough forming there. Could be quite a lot going on there, so we'll have to see. Similarly, it is suggesting high pressure to build back in again on the 9th of August after a brief unsettled spell after the heat wave. So nothing long lasting for any of these weather patterns, if not a little bit changeable, but still, it's quite acceptable really. Looking at the 6Z UK weather forecast one, it's less bullish than the 0Z, but still quite hot. So 6Z forecast is the maximum temperatures we're seeing is 38 degrees, past 39 in the Far East. If this had to verify, less bullish than the 0Z one, really, but still something to look at. So again, it's a possibility if that hot air moves in, but it's unlikely, really. And if it did, obviously it would last for a while, according to the GFS 6Z one. GFS 0Z one, again, high pressure to the west will retreat. Northwesterly raging will occur for the weekend. Other than that, then it will build in once again, bringing a south-easterly direction. High pressure to southeast, bringing some very hot conditions. Could be quite thundery at times as well, so a lot of thundery, shallow lows with high pressure building in once again at the end of the run as well. If not quite identical to the GFS 6Z one at this time frame at least. Oops, sorry, I was looking at the 12. That was the 6Z. This is the 12Z one. So that's my fault. I don't know why I did that. Let me just restart it. That was such a waste of time there. There we go. This is the 12Z run. I was looking at the 6Z. Again, high pressure retreats with more of a northwesterly regime. Showers along spells of rain, especially in Scotland. Not much in the south really. And then we've got a southerly, southeasterly direction with thundery, shallow lows, and a bit more of an unsettled theme for the end of this run at the 8th of August. I'm not going to look at the temperatures there because it probably will be the same, but I think it's going to be the same, about the same really. All of the GFS models are in agreement for what temperatures. Oops, sorry about that. Or what temperatures we could see at the end of July. Finally, the 18Z run. Again, high pressure retreats to the south. That's the Azores high. Northwesterly regime possible after, with showers or longer spells of rain. And then we've got high pressure building in northeasterly direction, if not as much as the other GFS runs, but still it would be a southeasterly direction with low pressure to the west, bringing some thundery lows at possible, with a little bit more changeable conditions at the end of this run. Looking at the ECM, very similar really. High pressure retreats, northwesterly regime in the weekend, showers longer spells of rain are possible. And then next week we have high pressure building to the southeast, a southeasterly direction most likely, or southwesterly maybe, but mostly a southerly direction, with some very hot air possible, with thundery lows to the west, bringing, obviously that's probably the perfect conditions. This run here is the perfect conditions for, let's say, a thundery low to move up from there, from the west. Looking at the temperature at 850 HPA, so we've got heatwave thresholds throughout next week, 15 degree isotherm, which will get 30 Celsius most likely, 16 in far southwest, but that's it. As we go to the end of the run, it builds up even further for Monday, where we could see isotherm in the southeast to the 20s, which is very unheard of in the UK. So we'll see isotherms of 20 to 21 Celsius, maybe even 22 Celsius at 850 HPA. Now, it has upgraded it a little bit, really, to last run. So it signs that it's getting more confident. It's most likely going to happen, but we'll have to see if that verifies. It may not. We'll have to just see what happens there. But still, if this had to come off, if this air mass had to come off from the southeast, we'll probably see temperatures around the low to mid 30s. So that will be 31 to 36 Celsius if this had to verify. Finally, the UK Met Euro run. High pressure retreat to the south. We've got low pressure to the north, bringing some changeable conditions in the weekend. High pressure building once again, and if anything, not as convinced as the other ones, but again, that would waft in from the southeast, from the near continent, bringing some hot air possible at times. If I'm being completely honest, it is underdoing it just a little bit, in my opinion. But 17 degree isotherm, that will be around 27 to 32 Celsius, so typical heatwave conditions in the southeast. So yes, there is definitely some signs for some heatwave 4 to basically show up before the end of July. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.